As the chair of Budget and Finance, will be conducting the special meeting and just, yeah, so
we are discussing, just for people to know, we are discussing our anticipated schedule. We're a little bit early. We weren't scheduled to discuss these until the 15th, so this is all too good. I think traditionally we've had, because this is our one-time, where is Rachel?
she's over there.
Oh, I can't see it. This is our one time where we get to, and I see many members of the library board here, which is great. It's our one time to sort of hear from Elizabeth and Rachel. So I'd like to give 5 minutes. I hope you can squeeze that in 5 minutes, and then we will ask questions. And I mean, if we can get through the library, and then maybe we could start Senior Resource Center before 7:30. But let's shoot for 15 minutes for library and 15 minutes for SRC, and see how we go.
Chairman, is it page 83, so this is a special revenue?
Yes. Yes, it's under special revenues, so yes. Okay, so Rachel, can you give us a 5-minute, whatever?
Thank you for your emails.
Yeah, I was timed, I timed this a little bit longer than 5 minutes. But I hope you did have a chance. It sounds like you saw the emails, the great New York Times opinion piece that I sent you that really just so clearly articulates, come on in, Tyler.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to disrupt.
So clearly articulates how an important, vibrant and busy library is to a community, how a diverse array of people with different backgrounds, passions, opinions can all be in one place together and participate in a democratic, living, civic society in the library. So I'm glad you had a chance to see that. Public libraries are busy, vibrant places, and Shorewood Public Library is definitely one of them. We see that every day in the library. We see that in our numbers. Our patron count is 3% up compared to this time last year, year to date, and has been on a very steady and slow upward trend. Our programming, we've really always had a strong slate of children's programming, but we've focused on our adult lifelong learning lately, 63% increase in attendance over last year.
From adults?
For adults specifically.
And the series you're doing on race and race relations has been very well received in the community. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. That has been one of our strong partnerships with the YWCA. We've had strong partnerships with our school district as well. We were active participants in 5 authentic learning projects last school year. And we were able to sit on the 6th grade passages initiatives. 3 of us were able to be on those panels. We've got strong partnerships with Elizabeth and the Senior Resource Center, including the Shorewood Monarch Project. Ms. Heidi, our children's librarian, and Elizabeth are really the backbone of that program, and it truly is our learn, connect, and explore, part of our new mission statement that's been solidified recently with our strategic planning process we've completed. We haven't included any specific initiatives from that plan in the 2019 budget, but we'll plan to do that moving forward. Glad to talk a little bit about our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. It's our way to participate with early literacy. There is ample evidence to show that children, the number of books they're exposed to, the number of words that they're exposed to before they go to school, is a indicator and a predictor for school success moving forward, and that's for their whole school career. It's a great way for us to participate in out-of-school learning. So busy, vibrant library, and for the budget, what we presented to you today is a cost to continue or a status quo budget. This allows us to continue that programming at that level. There's a few things I'd like to point out to you. We have increased our non-tax levy revenue by over $11,000 this year. The majority of that is with our reciprocal borrowing, which shows up under local library aids. That is a direct result of strong, competent professional librarians cultivating a great collection, but also your support, your tax support that's going towards high quality furniture, enough and ample technology that's cutting edge, and then also our great staffing levels that allow for high quality customer service. And so that results in both residents and non-residents using our library. And that's where that number comes from. I'm gonna skip a little with my 5 minutes. We've reduced a few costs as well. I'm really proud of my first RFP for our copy, print, and scan service. We should be saving well over $3,000 from this year to next by doing that. Our major increase is that furniture and budget line at the bottom that's listed under capital. Our building is 16 years old. Our carpet is going to live its full life at the 20-year mark likely, and that is going to be a big price tag. We've talked about doing, and what we have for you today is the possibility of a capital reserve where we would set aside $20,000 over the course of the next 4 years instead of coming to you in 4 or 5 years and saying, we need $95,000. So that's the idea behind that. That is spelled out a bit in the narrative pieces that you have. I know all of you have been in the library in the last 6 months, which makes me really glad you've seen what a busy place we are, who we serve, the variety and the diversity of people, the reasons why people come to the library. There's no doubt in my mind that the Shorewood Public Library is helping people to learn, connect, and explore. So I'm going to give Alex Handelsman 2 minutes. Wasn't it? This is our library board president, Alex Handelsman.
So I just want to talk real quick about the value of the library. So the Wisconsin Department of Public Institution commissioned a study to talk about or determine the value that Wisconsin public libraries bring to the state of Wisconsin. And they calculated a return of investment of $4 for every dollar of public taxpayer money. They looked at a number of different factors, looking at circulation, programming, the tax generated on employee salaries, and even increase in tax revenue for people who are maybe spending too much time at the library and deciding to eat out at a city market after being at the library. But what the DPI study didn't look at was the value that institutions like Shorewood brings to the community, whether it's through early literacy initiatives, people being proud of their community by participating in summer celebration and having an opportunity to get custard served by president and trustees of the Shorewood Library, or sorry, the village board. And then there's also the impact on individuals who are able to continue a job interview because they have a laptop that they're able to check out and video teleconference. We also have people come in the library say the village, the library's reason enough to buy home here because of all the different programming offerings they have for students. And then there's also individual impact on people who come to the library in distress and speak to a librarian and get a referral to Milwaukee County Behavioral Health. So it's hard to quantify the value that the library brings to the community, but I'm proud to be in a community that does value its library. I want to thank you for your continued support of the library.
And, Mark, where'd Mark go? Can you explain the relationship between what we budget and what you were explaining to me earlier about the salary budget versus any savings at the end? And
Us in the library board.
Right, well, one of the things that's developed over time is again, we have a good relationship with our library and our library board, is that, you know, as we fund library salaries and staff costs, the library board has pledged that due to a variety of reasons sometimes, and quite often most times, there's unused monies available there. And people might call in sick, there might be some staff turnover, and there's a vacancy. And the library board reciprocates those unused funds for salary and staff costs back to the village at the end of the year. So you'll see that on the bottom of page 81, for example.
And that's important because just for the new trustees, just to make a distinction, we give tax dollars to the library, but we cannot, if we say we wanted to say, oh, we don't want carpet, the library board decides what to do with those tax dollars. So we can't go line item by line item. You can say it out loud, and I'm sure the library board would hear what our concerns are if you wanted to reduce funding, but on a dollar by dollar, they really have the ultimate say of where that reduction or addition would go.
Right, so you'll see that it's like about the fourth line item from the bottom on page 81, it says transfers to general fund. So in 2016, 2017, and we're projecting for 2018, there's gonna be some residual funds that were budgeted for library staff and salaries that are gonna be returned to the village at the end of the year. So again, and their budget is always very compliant with what they present. I'm super pleased to have that kind of relationship with the library.
Okay, can we go first if anyone has specific questions, and then we'll open discussion, yes.
Oh, okay. First, thank you for sending those emails. I was pretty shocked that over half our residents have incomes that are extremely low.
Yeah.
According to the statistics, I just did not know that, so thank you so much for sending that.
You're welcome.
And the value I see as going off of what was said is that the library helps us with our social justice and promoting our, in a second, yes, and promoting our values of respect and dignity. So thank you so much for that. I do have a question specifically for the professional fees. It appears that they went from projected of 9,000 to 1,000, so it went down significantly. And then there was another adjustment. I can't remember if it was contract fees that went up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so yes, service and contract fees, and there was I didn't see any explanation, so.
Sure, the professional fees, that is what we budgeted for our strategic planning process. So we did hire a consultant for $8,000. It ended up maybe coming just a little bit over that. So that was just a 1 year is what we were planning on. Typically, that professional fees, we reserve about $1,000 is what we request for attorney fees in case we are updating. The times that we've used it since I've been here have been policies we've been updating, and we've needed a attorney's opinion. So that's what that bump from up to 9,000 and back down to 1,000 is. The bump up that you're seeing in the contracted fees was that item that I was feeling a little proud of, that RFP. We're now going to be putting our copy, print, and scan services under other service contract and fees. But if you look a little bit below, a few lines, copy and print costs went down 67.8%, pretty significantly, a little bit over $3,000. That's because we won't be buying our own toner anymore and trying to do our own preventative maintenance, and so that is where some of those monies are going to go.
Do we go on the same contract as them for copiers?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make, I met with Mark earlier today, and on salaries and wages, the FTE are the same. However, there's an anticipated retirement, and so there's an extra $10,000 budgeted under health insurance, under the, just sort of to, in case the new person has a full family insurance. So there's, so there is no change in the actual number of FTE and that 2.7% in salaries. Does any other trustee have a question on this budget?
On the healthcare.
Does any other trustee have a question?
Well, I got on this, we set aside the reserve for the 20,000.
Yeah.
You said like that on the list.
Yeah.
Because we do, I mean, with this transfer back to the general fund,
Yeah.
and it's been generally, 19, 15, so we could set aside those funds at year end to then use to put aside for instead of allocating into the tax levy now, is set aside to transfer back to the general
So
fund.
do it like you said, designated in our fund balance, yeah.
Back to the library.
Yeah.
Or carpeting.
That's a good idea.
To lower the taxes for the following year?
So instead of the 20,000 in
1,000.
equipment and furniture, we've designate as fund balance, whatever comes in, we'll designate it in the fund balance for the library for carpeting, yeah. That's a good idea. So yeah, let's Just
So
explain.
it's still
I don't
in
think
the.
that's what you're saying,
the
but
purchase
maybe
Is
that's
that what you were saying?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that if we leave it,
Up to
instead of transferring back to the general fund, that there'd be the MOU say that anything that falls down because of their
Right.
savings and personnel
Oh, so let
costs,
them save
that
it
they
from
would set
that.
it as
Oh,
a
okay.
designated, at some
Okay.
point that would run out, though.
I-
So like in 3 years, because we've always budgeted the full staff and no vacancy savings.
Right.
So this was to protect, not just budgeting for the whole staff and then their savings and.
Can we do that? Can we have a fund balance in the library fund? I guess we can, yeah.
Yes.
I don't
Okay.
prefer that, only
Yeah.
because, yeah, because, thanks for, giving back, we don't budget a vacancy, if that is true, and I just feel like any savings, when we get to budget time in the future, we may need it for a police officer. I just, it's a vacancy factor that all other vacancy factors we utilize for other purposes in the village as well. And unless we're gonna do that specific to every department for vacancy factors, I wouldn't wanna do it to one and not the others.
Well, let's
got it
put
on
it
the
on the
list.
list for
Yeah,
discussion, and
good
just for
concept.
everyone's information, what we do is we go through every budget and we sort of, things that we wanna talk about and discuss further and make a final decision, or we have a list, and on October 22nd, we will go through everything on the list, and it may take us 20 hours, but we'll do it. Are there any other questions or items for discussion on this budget?
What are you doing on the R. Miller and the bequests?
Those bequests are winding down, so
Okay.
the hour miller will be spent out this year. We had about $4,500 there.
Okay.
Betty Anufrock generously donated $15,000 last fall. We thought the best way to spend that responsibly was to spread out $5,000. She'd like to spend that all on adult mysteries and fiction.
Oh,
And so, it made the most sense to spread that out. So we've already spent, our $5,000 of Anufrock money for 2018, and then we'll use, $5,000 in 19 and 20, but it's clearly very restricted. But that would be the end of our, bequests that we have currently.
Is that something that the Friends could talk about, is having a planned giving program and encouraging other people to make bequests to the library?
Yeah, we have, one of the things I cut out was, we have asked the Friends to step up to bat with this budget in particular, and they are gonna start, giving us a little bit more money, but we are talking about starting a standing committee for fundraising and looking at opportunities and what makes the most sense for Shorewood, for the Friends of the library.
Okay.
So those conversations are started.
Yeah.
Going on health, just what you had said about health insurance and the increase, thanks
Mhm.
for explaining that. So for retirement, I was always told we budget for retirement, healthcare, or whatever benefits as they come.
Well, this is actually budgeting for a potential retirement for an employee who's not currently covered under the village health care plan.
But even for
But
like,
their replacement, if they were to come in, would most likely be covered,
I
so we
think
have
she's
to
asking
account
about
for that.
retirement.
Retirement.
What line are you asking about?
yep, I don't know which one it goes in, but yeah, like we budget for them as they happen, is what I've been told. That's how we handle our open
Yes, that's
liability.
back on about the middle of page 80,
Is that retiree health contribution?
for $9,855.
And that's what that one's for? It's
Yeah.
the same though, so,
Yes, we're not expecting any liabilities from this current retirement.
okay. And then, the, software, is there a new software that's being purchased?
There is a software, let me take a look, there is a
Is it your credit
new
card?
product, that is going to be our sign-up software. It's under, if you look at the, request detail, TBS licenses, hardware and software. That is a little bit higher than it was in the past with the previous company, the Public PC Management. But that price is locked in for the next 5 years at $2,863. We will have, that software and hardware completely paid off. So that is a little bit new. That whole line though is a little bit more because we have to pay our Microsoft Office licenses every other year, and it just so happens it's this year. Our Wi-Fi license renewal came up, that's every 3 years, just so happened to be this year. So we had some other expenses, that moved that up a little higher.
I wanted to ask, this is a large, levy increase this year.
Mhm.
And I understand that it is cost to continue and all, but we have asked, our other larger departments, what are possibilities, so let's say we needed, to reduce that increase, would you be looking at spending on, how would you make a cut if you had to make a cut? Would it be on acquisitions? Would it be staff time? What would it be?
Yeah, that would be a real challenge for us. I think our other larger departments have some vacancies, so that gives a little bit of flexibility and room for some big number kind of cuts. We do not have any vacancies outside of a shelver, which makes less than, I think, $4,200 a year, is our only vacancy, which we're holding. So it would be a real challenge for us to do that. It would depend on the amount of savings we were asked to achieve. Our whole collection budget is around $90,000. So dipping too deeply into that and also knowing our bequests are starting to dwindle down is a challenge. I really, we'd be hard pressed. I mean, 70% of our budget is staff. And I mean, that's really, if you need sizable cuts, that would be the place it would be, staff and hours open to the public. Outside of, capital requests, I mean, deferring furniture, deferring those types of needs. I mean, 36,000 of that, almost 50,000 increase over last year is carpet and chairs.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is my last question. I'd like to put the carpeting and capital request on our list. And the reason I say that is I'm all about putting 20,000 each year till you get to the right amount. And the question I asked, we don't do that at the village just because so what that does is, so when we get hit with carpet, we get hit with it, we have to reduce something else. Like that's how we end up having to balance our budget. And so this method is great, but it's not significantly reducing any other expense. So one of the things we talked about at the village that's on our list, and I'm being very consistent, I don't want anyone to think that I'm just targeting one department, but is stretching out some of our capital, smaller capital items that we don't bond for, both big and large. We're doing it with road programs now, we're doing it with just,